Hello guys, welcome to the next lesson. We'll talk more about characters. So we talked last time why to build characters, and now we'll talk a bit how to build them. And since you've already built entities, you'll see it's quite similar. So you will find that to build a character you need the same elements: rough sketch, naming, background, goals, motives, and personality. Also, we'll build one pager and one liner and half pager for your characters. So let's start. So rough sketch. What's a rough sketch? That's basically what you already have. A concept for your character, a role for your character, but also put here any details you want about character that you maybe won't remember later when you do the very detailed sketch, like how do they look, some trait you want them to have, some specific hobby you want them to have, tattoo. So put here anything that doesn't fit elsewhere in this character sheet. Name. So pay attention to naming. As you already know, no one wants to hear about, regular common name characters, Ranko, or I don't know, John, Joe, stuff like that. So make sure to prepare your name carefully. I've given some examples in the homework document how to name your characters, but also I want to expand on what you already know by saying that you can pick a character with ordinary name if it fits your theme and story. For example, Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie about two spies who are, pretending to be married couple. There's a reason they call them Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So to emphasize that this normal family they are. So also if you for some reason insist that your character is some sort of commoner, John Smith, Jane Smith, you can always boost their names with some nicknames. Also, you can decide to give them very unusual names. For example, Sherlock Holmes, with this Sherlock Holmes with this sound indicating that he was, quite pensive character, or I don't know, Ebenezer Scrooge, quite unique name for quite unique villain, and Ebenezer, like Miser, Ebenezer, Scrooge, Screw Up. So yeah, there is this not the connection in meaning, but connection in sounds. It can also be, these sounds can be also made into quite potent characters, like J. Gatsby, the Great Gatsby. So it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't really associate with anything, but try speaking several times. J. Gatsby, it's epic, it has this ring to it. So yeah, if you cannot name your characters brutally by giving them, names that mean something, like John Wicked, or something like that. So yeah, go with a good sounding one. And I suggest you do 25-1. What's the 25-1? It's a very good and easy method of coming up with copy or texts or ideas, titles, whatever you need. You make 25 items. So like if you're looking for a character's name, 25 names, then figure out which 5 you like the best, then out of this 5 figure out which one you like the best. That's your character's name. So 25-1 is really an easy method to implement and to use for coming up with names. Backgrounds. So for backgrounds it's very important because always when we play role-playing games we say, oh, I don't have any family, my parents are dead, blah blah. So no one likes the characters with the baggage, because if you have family and parents for your character, you have to answer on all kinds of questions, like what were they like, what did they do, or how did our character turn the way he is or she is according to their origin story. Why is he or she not in touch with them now? Where are they now? Is villain going to exploit the fact that the hero has family or not? So yeah, you will also see in many action movies, or like no one mentions the hero's family, and usually hero's family only comes in some sort of hilarious comedic purposes, like mama saying to the hero, do this or do that. So yeah, no one likes to mess with family background story, but you have to, because it makes your characters real. If your characters don't have any parents or lineage, it makes them a bit too cartoony, maybe that's what you want, but then have in mind, if you want a cartoony character, don't give them mom and dad unless you want to make fun of them. So these are the subtle rules that go about the background and family. But yeah, I suppose you want to make real characters, so to give them texture, give them some sort of family. And you will see the background is very important regardless of the family, because background is also what your character did to reach this place where they are now. For example, I gave the example of Mark, who's a failed actor, and you will see how lame it sounds, like, oh, he's Mark, the lame actor. But when you go through this entire family building, you'll see how different it sounds, and how many elements you can add after going through this complete process. And I suggest you use Wikipedia to browse characters and origin stories and backgrounds. And I don't know, if you want to build a politician, do Google some politician names, go through their Wikipedia pages. It will help. It's called research, and it really helps. And because life sometimes invents much better than you can, so don't be shy to steal someone's biography. For example, I took biography of Clark Gable for my failed actor. Well, Clark was a successful actor, but mine is not. But for example, he comes like Gable from some sort of hardy family where his tough father had to raise him alone, so he considers him CC, blah blah, like Clark Gable. So yeah, after all this, I will have like, oh my God, I will have not only the Mark is a failed actor, I will have this complete juicy ball of what kind of relationships my character can go in, what kind of dialogues he can lead, what kind of internal monologues he can have. So be careful to construct the background story. It's very important. It gives much details to your character, and especially the voice, which we'll cover in the next lesson. Goals, of course, yeah, what do you want? Maybe you want to write a fabulous game, you maybe want to be rich and famous, or just rich, or just famous, just to be, having a safe existence for your family. Whatever our goals here is, there are many, and we have to pick one that's in line with the theme and the plot of our story. For example, if my goal is to, make great class for you and see you become professional writers, then I have to be doing a lot of things in consequent sort of way to be, moving toward this goal. And if I don't, then there's something wrong with my character. So goals are important because they focus your characters, they send them on a journey. So please think through these goals and put them to be aligned with your plot and your theme. And the alignment and relevance doesn't have to be linear. So for example, I know it's often to see this reluctant sort of hero type. He wants something completely different, like he wants peaceful life on Earth, and then villains come to pester him, and then he's pissed off, and then he starts with changing his goal so he can fulfill the mission. So yeah, whatever it is, make sure that the character goals are relevant. For example, I gave the example of Luke Skywalker, who wanted actually to join the Empire. It's not, I think, shown in the movies, but in the book, he's like discussing how he wants to enroll the academy, and he knows that the academy is run by Empire, but still, he wants to join. And then suddenly he becomes a rebel and a rebel leader. So this kind of opposite is also relevance. If Luke Skywalker wanted to be, I don't know, an engineer, electrician, it would be quite anticlimactic. It doesn't have to do anything either with being a rebel or with being an imperial officer. Also, his desire to be, that he was pushed to be a farmer is also sort of relevant, but it's not how to say, it's not being pushed too far, as you've seen, because it would be straying off into this, like, oh, he wants to be a hairdresser or something. So yeah, make sure that whatever the direction is towards or opposite, that your goals of your characters are relevant and connected to the theme and plot. Then we have motivation. Motivation is what makes us tick. So while goal tells us what do the characters want, motivation explains why they want it. Motivation is more in the realm of unconscious, of subconscious, of not so rational. So motivations, can vary. And for example, to be rich is a goal, but to be rich so I can fight crime yields a Batman-like character. I want to be rich so I can enjoy good girls, have sex all the time. Yeah, that's Hugh Hefner's style of character, and totally opposite of Batman. So motivation refines the goal and refines the character, sends them in totally different directions. So yeah, make sure to know what kind of motivation is for your hero, because it will affect the way he goes to do his goal, and also what kind of decisions they will be making. If someone wants to be rich to be making crime, then they probably won't be engaging in criminal activities themselves. And if someone wants to be rich so they can have good time, they'll probably have relaxed approach to decision making. So the base motives like revenge, death of someone, destruction of someone are base, and if you put them as your character's motives, your character will be seen as crude, cruel, basic, less refined. And if you invent some more noble cause, more noble motivation, then the character can be quite refined. So make sure to, for Chewbacca, it's great to have just pure loyalty towards Han Solo as a character, but for Luke Skywalker it's not enough. He needs to have more complex motivation for his actions. So everything's mixed up there, father and his desire for adventure, and his desire to escape the boring farming life, but also this sense of justice and everything. So make sure you pick appropriate motivation for your character. Personality is the final touch. It's the collection of attitudes, stances, and default reactions that your character will display while approaching the hurdles and overcoming the obstacles. The D&D alignment list is quite nice way to approach it, because it's supposed to be some sort of moral metrics, but actually it's a personality metrics. It tells you how the characters will react. So it can really serve well to flesh out the character. For example, if the character wants to be rich and wants to fight crime, and then he's cold and ruthless, then we get Batman. And if character is rich and wants to fight crime, but is jovial and immature and bragging, you get Iron Man. So different personalities sort of lead to different characters, and make sure not to fall in a trap like, okay, I have a goal for my character, I have motivation for character, and personality doesn't matter. Or don't build it character from personality to motive to goal. Try to sort of see in a rough sketch what do you want both all three elements to be like, and then sort of refine it. So it's I have no recipe for you, like, oh, don't start from personality or don't start from goals, but don't let the inertia take you. Don't think that, oh, just because he has this goal he has to have this motivation. It can be quite different. For example, some people I know want to be rich because they actually want to be poor. They want to afford being poor. It sounds crazy, but they have a lot of money, so they can safely go about looking like homeless. People are crazy, so have that in mind when you're creating your characters. Of course, in reality they can be crazy all they like, but in your story they have to be connected to your team and plot. So have that in mind too. Also, personality is giving the color to the character, although it's bad practice to only rely on their personality for their complete idea of your character. So that's why I said probably not good idea to start from personality, but do whatever works for you. There's no formulas in writing. So next, do a one-liner, sum up your character in one role. What's the role in the story according to the theme and plot? Like, okay, this is Luke Skywalker, he's the main character of the story, and he's going to go from being a peasant boy to stopping the evil Galactic Empire. That's his one-liner. Half pager is also very important because it tells the story from your character's point of view, and it's important because you can avoid a lot of problems and a lot of common mistakes if you take time and patience to develop several characters that interact in the plot and tell the story from each of their point of view. So imagine telling the Star Wars from Han Solo's point of view, like, oh, this old geezer and this young kiddo comes to my ship and they turn out to be, some kind of criminals. And, we fly there and we find the planet destroyed, and then there's this stupid star, battle star, which takes us, swallows us in, but the boy promises me good money, so I join their cause. Make sure to tell the story from their point of view. And also, for your homework, you will be developing several characters. Minimum is 2, but develop as many as you like. You will eventually have to develop them all. So yeah, pick the 2 characters to detail out and make sure that these characters sort of interact in the story. So it can be protagonist and antagonist, protagonist and guardian, doesn't matter. But do pick characters that will interact in the plot in some way, because it will tell you if your plot needs refining, where it needs refining. Because if you tell the story from your character's point of view several times over, from different points of view, you will easily spot which parts are weak, which parts need to be, reinforced. Especially goes about motivation, like, if this character sees it that way, like, okay, what can I do to justify this? So take time to detailedly develop characters, and especially put attention to this half-pager point of view story, because it's very important. Even if you don't have fully developed plot, it will help you develop it, believe me. It will help you sort of look at your plot from different angles, and you'll be able to spot the weak points, and if you're not able, then I'll tell you where they are. See you guys on Tuesday, and don't be late with your homeworks. Try to keep up. You still have time to flesh out everything you didn't finish from before. This is for the sake of you and your story, because I want you to be ready to write brilliant stories right away when we finish this course. And yeah, I've heard from Direction Fiction, they're quite interested in the course, and you guys too. So yeah, let's give our best. Later.